In the gleaming heart of Washington, D.C., inside the most prestigious civic hall in the country, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett stood at a golden podium and did something nobody expected. She didn't just challenge the Trump family's carefully polished image. She detonated it. With one quiet question and a single piece of paper, she exposed a secret so explosive that Ivanka Trump's legendary composure shattered on live television. For years, behind closed doors, the elegant eldest daughter had been letting young Barron call her mommy, while the whole world believed Melania was the only mother in the house. The National Civic Hall was buzzing. The White House had organized this lavish event to unveil a new initiative on youth leadership and justice reform. Crystal chandeliers cast warm golden light across hundreds of faces. Waiters moved between clusters of donors, lobbyists, and senators. Everything looked perfect. But underneath all that polish, the air carried something sharper, something that felt like the opening minutes before a thunderstorm. Ivanka Trump arrived first, gliding through the crowd like she had been born in rooms exactly like this one. Her cream-colored dress caught the chandelier light, making her shimmer as she moved. Every gesture was controlled. Every word was measured. She was performing, and she was magnificent at it. Barron Trump walked in a few minutes later. Taller than almost everyone, he carried himself quietly, his face carefully blank, but his eyes moved constantly, scanning the room, picking up on every whispered conversation. Something in the atmosphere was already making the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Then Jasmine Crockett walked in, and the energy shifted. She moved with easy, natural confidence. Not the polished kind that Ivanka wore like armor. She spotted Ivanka near the stage and walked over without hesitation. "Ivanka," she said warmly. Ivanka's smile slid into place like a silk curtain. "Congresswoman Crockett, I've been hearing about your recent work, and I've heard plenty about yours." The words were pleasant. Their eyes told a different story. Locked on each other one beat too long, a quiet challenge hanging between two women who both knew exactly what they were doing. Barron watched beside his sister, noticing how Ivanka's fingers tightened around her champagne glass, even though her face remained perfect. Just before guests filtered into the ballroom, Jasmine felt her phone buzz. A text from Eleanor, a former nanny who had worked inside the Trump household years ago. "I have something you need to see before you get on that podium. Old photo and timeline. This could change everything." Jasmine's heartbeat kicked up, but she slid the phone away without opening the files. If this was what she thought it was, it changed everything about tonight. She decided to hold it back, a blade tucked inside a sleeve, to draw only if the moment demanded it. Inside the ballroom, hundreds of seats faced a polished stage. The host introduced the evening's speakers. When Jasmine's name was called, the applause was noticeably warmer than for anyone else. She walked to the podium with unhurried steps. "Real leadership isn't about where you come from or whose last name you carry," she said, her voice cutting clean through the room. "It's about having empathy for people who will never sit in rooms like this. A legacy built on silence and privilege isn't leadership. It's just a shield for the ones already standing at the top." The words dropped like stones into still water. Ivanka sat perfectly still, but her jaw tightened with every sentence. Barron leaned forward, eyes focused, like a student hearing something that actually made sense. Then Ivanka took the podium. Her smile was beautiful, but cold. "Leadership isn't only about passion or powerful speeches. It's about grace under pressure. It's about the family values we inherit and the discipline to build something that endures." She paused, her gaze landing on Jasmine. "Some of us are fortunate to have strong examples inside our own homes. Others have to find their own way." The dig was velvet-wrapped, but everyone felt the blade. Jasmine didn't move a muscle. Barron spoke last, short, unpolished, completely honest. "Being young in this world isn't easy when expectations weigh 1,000 pounds. I'm still figuring out how to do something good without getting crushed by all the pressure. Every single day." The applause was warm and genuine. He wasn't performing, he just sounded real. Then Ivanka leaned toward Barron and whispered, just loud enough for Jasmine to catch, "Boldness often hides insecurity. Passion doesn't always mean truth." Jasmine's hand curled into a fist beneath the table. She was done being careful. During intermission, a figure slipped through the crowd. Eleanor, the former nanny, moving nervously. She pressed a folded piece of old, yellowed paper into Jasmine's palm. Jasmine unfolded it and read the neat handwriting. "He calls me Mommy when no one's around. Don't tell anyone." The date at the top was from when Barron was 4 years old. "Why tonight?" Jasmine asked softly. Eleanor's voice cracked. "Because I was terrified for years, but I can't carry this anymore. Tonight felt like the only moment. Across the room, Ivanka was staring directly at them, her face pale beneath the makeup, her practiced smile frozen like a cracked mask. Baron caught the change in his sister's expression immediately. "What's going on?" he asked quietly. Ivanka forced a dismissive laugh. "Nothing, just some former staff member looking for attention." But her fingers gripped his sleeve too tightly, and her voice had lost its smoothness. Baron wasn't convinced. The intermission ended. Ivanka returned to the podium for closing remarks, her composure rebuilt. True leadership is about rising above the noise. Real strength means maintaining composure and honoring the values we were raised with. Her eyes flickered toward Jasmine for a fraction of a second. The message was clear. Stay in your lane. She turned to leave the podium. A sharp scrape of a chair cut through the room. Every head turned. Jasmine Crockett was standing. She walked to the podium with slow, deliberate steps. The host stepped aside without a word. 300 people held their breath. "I've heard a lot tonight about grace and dignity," she began. "But real respect starts at home. It starts with how we treat the people closest to us. Words mean nothing if we stay silent when powerful men make disgusting remarks about their own daughters." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Ivanka's knuckles whitened against the table edge. Jasmine continued, steady and almost gentle, which made every word hit harder. "And since we're talking about leadership and family," she turned her gaze directly to Baron. "Baron, who is really your mom?" The words detonated like a grenade in a cathedral. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. 300 people sat frozen, mouths open. Baron half rose from his chair, voice sharp and shaking. "What are you saying?" Ivanka erupted from her seat so fast her chair nearly toppled. Her face went ghostly white. "That's enough. This is completely inappropriate. We are leaving. Now." Jasmine stayed steady. "I'm not attacking anyone. I'm asking the question everyone in this city has been too afraid to ask, because truth matters more than comfort." Ivanka grabbed Baron's arm, her voice wavering. "Come on, father's waiting." But the word father came out desperate instead of commanding. For the first time all evening, she didn't sound powerful. She sounded cornered. Baron didn't move. He kept staring at Jasmine, doubt written across his face in bold letters. In the hallway outside, Ivanka pulled Baron toward the exit. He planted both feet and wrenched his arm free. "Tell me the truth, Ivanka, right now. What was Jasmine talking about?" Ivanka forced on her practiced smile. "She's a politician manufacturing a scandal. You know who your mother is. It's Melania. End of story." The words came too fast, tumbling over each other like someone patching a crack before the wall gave way. Baron stared at her. "No. You're hiding something. I saw your face when she asked that question. I've never seen you look like that, ever." A memory crashed into his mind. He was 4 years old. Middle of the night. Melania was traveling. He had woken up crying, and Ivanka had come in, climbed into his bed, wrapped her arms around him, and whispered, "Shh, it's okay. Mommy's here. Mommy's got you." "You told me that," he said, his voice echoing down the empty hallway. "You said Mommy's here when I was little. I remember your voice." Ivanka's eyes blew wide. "Baron, I was just comforting you. It didn't mean anything. It meant something to me." His voice cracked. Tears filled his eyes. "All these years I thought it was normal, but it wasn't, was it?" Jasmine reached them, calm but firm. She held out the folded note. "You should see this." Baron took it with trembling hands and read, "He calls me Mommy when no one's around. Don't tell anyone." The date matched his memory with horrifying precision. Ivanka lunged forward. "Give that to me!" she screamed. Nothing like the silk-smooth tone from the gala. Every trace of poise collapsed. Her face was flushed crimson, her hands shaking, her hair falling across her forehead. Jasmine didn't flinch. "The truth has a right to come out." Ayla Lanner stepped from a side doorway. "I worked for the family back then. I saw it with my own eyes." Ivanka would tell Baron to call her mommy whenever Melania was traveling. "I stayed silent for years because I was terrified. But that boy deserves the truth." Baron looked from the note to Ivanka to Eleanor to Jasmine. Tears rolled freely down his cheeks. "All this time," he said, his voice raw, "you let me believe one thing while playing a completely different game behind my back. Why?" Ivanka stood, breathing hard, her elegant dress suddenly looking like a costume from a play interrupted by reality. She opened her mouth, but no polished answer came. She had nothing left. "Baron, you don't understand," she finally managed. "Father built everything we have. If this gets out, it destroys the family. It destroys you, too." Her voice turned cold. "Father will destroy both of you if you keep pushing this. Walk away. Come with me." Jasmine met her stare. He already destroyed the truth once. Tonight it comes back. The lies end here. Baron stood in the center, torn, his eyes moving between his sister and Jasmine. He took one deep breath, then he turned his back on Ivanka. "I want the full story," he said quietly, looking at Jasmine. "Not tonight. I'm not ready, but I will find it. I need to know who I really am." Ivanka's mouth opened. No sound came out. Her mask had completely fallen away. Tears gathered in her eyes. Not the elegant kind, but the real kind that burn. Her shoulders began to shake with a small, involuntary tremor. Without another word, she turned and walked down the corridor alone. Her steps were no longer graceful, hurried, unsteady, almost stumbling. The click of her heels echoed off the marble walls, growing fainter until she disappeared around the corner. Jasmine let out a long, slow breath. She didn't feel triumphant. She felt bone-deep tired. But right. Eleanor placed a gentle hand on her arm. "You did what needed to be done." Baron stayed in the hallway, staring at the note. His eyes were red, but something in his expression had fundamentally changed. The quiet, careful boy who had walked into the hall that evening was gone. Standing in his place was someone forced to grow up faster than anyone should. Someone whose eyes held pain, but also a hard, clear determination that hadn't been there before. Jasmine stepped through the grand doors into the cool Washington night. The city lights stretched down the avenue like scattered embers. Eleanor walked beside her. "You just changed that boy's life tonight. He's going to have a mountain of questions, but at least now he can start searching for real answers instead of living inside someone else's story." Jasmine nodded. "I didn't want to hurt him. I just couldn't stand by and watch the lie keep growing roots." In the back of a black SUV, Baron sat alone, the folded note in his lap. His gaze was different now, sharper, heavier. No longer the gaze of someone who quietly accepted whatever version of reality he was handed. He folded the paper carefully, pressed the creases flat, and slipped it into his jacket pocket. For the first time in his life, he looked ready to ask the hard questions, and he wasn't going to stop until he found the answers. Silence never lasts forever, and truth, real truth, always finds its voice, even when that voice is calm.